He lost his first 10 fights, every single one. They called him shy, non-athletic, a mechanic's son who couldn't afford to eat. Fast forward 6 years, he's standing in Madison Square Garden, undefeated world champion, teaching martial arts to Steve McQueen, training with Bruce Lee. But here's what nobody saw coming. The kid who lost 10 fights in a row would go on to fight Bruce Lee in the Roman Colosseum, build an empire teaching celebrities, star in a TV show watched by over 14 million people, and become the subject of billions of internet jokes that made him more famous than any movie ever did. Some say it was determination, others say luck. But what if it was something else entirely? His brother predicted he wouldn't live to see 28. He was right. And Chuck spent the next 50 years making sure nobody forgot. These are 10 moments from Chuck Norris's life that were documented. Let's begin. Number 1. Lost first 10 fights, then never lost again. 1964. Chuck Norris enters his first karate tournament. He's 24 years old, just discharged from the Air Force, opened a small karate school in Torrance, California. Needs to prove himself. He loses, not by a little. Dominated, outclassed, sent home, second tournament. He loses again. Third tournament. Another loss. Alan Steen beat him. Joe Louis beat him. Louis Delgado beat him. Tony Tulliners beat him 3 rounds straight at the International Karate Championships. Here's what the records show. From 1964 to early 1968, Chuck Norris lost 10 fights. 10. His students started asking questions. If you keep losing, why should we train with you? Fair question. But Norris kept showing up, kept competing, kept losing. Then something changed. November 24th, 1968. Norris faces Louis Delgado again, the same man who handed him his 10th and final loss earlier that year. This time, Norris wins, captures the professional middleweight karate champion title. And here's the documented part that nobody believes. From that day forward, Chuck Norris never lost another official fight. Not one. He defended his title for 6 consecutive years. Retired in 1974 as undefeated champion. Final record, 183 wins, 10 losses, 2 draws. All 10 losses came in his first 4 years. The next 6 years, undefeated. Black Belt magazine named him Fighter of the Year in 1969. He won karate's Triple Crown for most tournament wins in a single year. But here's what makes this unbelievable. Those first 10 losses weren't close fights. They were beatings, the kind that make men quit. Chuck Norris didn't quit. And the man who lost 10 straight fights became the world champion who never lost again. Number 2, trained with Bruce Lee for 2 years, 1967, Madison Square Garden, the All-American Karate Open Championships. Chuck Norris wins the tournament. Bruce Lee gives a demonstration. After the event, they start talking. Martial arts philosophy, fighting techniques, training methods. The conversation goes until 4 in the morning. And according to multiple witnesses, it ends with both men sparring in a hallway until sunrise. That's how Chuck Norris met Bruce Lee. For the next 2 years, they trained together in Lee's backyard in Culver City, California. 3 hours at a time, pull-ups, sit-ups, sparring, bag work. But here's the documented moment that changed martial arts history. During one of their training sessions, Norris notices something. Bruce Lee never kicks above the waist, never goes for the head. Norris asks why. Lee tells him his philosophy. A martial artist should not kick above the waist. Too risky. Too easy to be taken down. Norris disagrees. You should be prepared to strike anywhere on the body at any time. If an opponent leaves his head exposed, you must take advantage. Lee considers this. And within 6 months, Bruce Lee's high kicks became legendary. Dan Inosanto, Richard Bustillo, and other witnesses confirmed it. Chuck Norris taught Bruce Lee to kick high. The roundhouse kicks, the spinning back kicks, the jump kicks that made Bruce Lee famous. Chuck Norris showed him those techniques. In 2022, Norris said in an interview, "Bruce had different philosophies at that time than I did. He thought you shouldn't kick high. I told him, you'll burn that engine out if you keep training all the time without rest." Lee trained anyway. Couldn't help himself. The training ended when Lee moved to Hong Kong in 1970 to pursue his film career. But 2 years later, Lee called with an offer. A movie role, a fight scene in the Roman Colosseum against Chuck Norris. We'll get to that. Number 3. Steve McQueen pushed him into acting, 1974. Chuck Norris is teaching karate at his Los Angeles school. One of his students is Steve McQueen, the biggest movie star in the world, the king of cool. McQueen had sought out Norris after seeing him compete, wanted to learn real martial arts, not Hollywood fake fighting. They became friends. One day after class, McQueen tells Norris, "You should try acting." Norris laughs. "Why? I've never had an acting class in my life. I never even did a high school play." McQueen doesn't laugh. "Acting is not just having lessons. You have a presence. You can project something on screen." Norris says no, but McQueen reminds him of something. The positive thinking philosophy Norris had been teaching him in karate. The belief that you can achieve anything with the right mindset. "You told me that," McQueen says. "Now apply it to yourself." Norris thinks about it. His karate schools are struggling financially. He needs money. His wife and kids need stability. So he says yes. McQueen gets him acting classes at MGM, helps him with the connections, encourages him through the criticism. In a 1978 interview, Norris said, "Steve not only helped me start my film career, he encouraged me when I was pelted by my first round of critics. He said, 'Don't worry about what the critics think. What really matters is what the audience thinks.'" That advice carried Norris for 30 years. His first major starring role was 1977's Breaker, made on a tiny budget. Critics hated it. Audiences loved it. Then 1978's Good Guys Wear Black, shot for $1 million, made over $18 million, launched Norris as the first successful homegrown American martial arts star. Steve McQueen died in 1980. Never got to see Norris reach his peak. But before he died, McQueen found faith, became a Christian, and Norris and McQueen flew together to Bruce Lee's memorial service in San Francisco in 1973, where they both served as pallbearers. 3 martial arts legends, all connected. And it was Steve McQueen's push that made Chuck Norris an actor. If McQueen hadn't said anything that day after karate class, Chuck Norris might have stayed a karate instructor his entire life. Instead, he became a star. Number 4, a legal fight in Roman Colosseum, 1972, Rome, Italy. Bruce Lee has a problem. He's filming Way of the Dragon. The climactic fight scene is set in the Roman Colosseum. Lee wants to film inside the actual Coliseum. Not a recreation, not a studio set. The real thing. There's one problem. It's illegal. Filming inside the Coliseum is strictly prohibited. Hollywood movies like Spartacus and Gladiator had to recreate the landmark. Nobody shoots inside the actual amphitheater. Bruce Lee doesn't care. According to Matthew Pauly's biography, Bruce Lee a Life, Lee and his crew bribed Roman officials to get inside. They film at night. Minimal crew, minimal equipment. Just Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, and a camera team. The fight scene takes 10 minutes of screen time. It's considered one of the greatest martial arts fight scenes ever filmed. Here's what makes it unbelievable. Chuck Norris had barely acted before. This was essentially his first major film role. He had no dialogue, just the fight. But the authenticity of 2 real martial arts champions fighting made it legendary. The film grossed over $130 million worldwide, beat Bruce Lee's previous records, became the highest-grossing film of 1972 in Hong Kong, and it was all filmed illegally in the Roman Colosseum. In interviews years later, Norris was asked, "Did you and Bruce Lee actually fight for real?" Norris always said the same thing. "We trained together for years, we sparred, but an actual fight, Bruce would have beaten me. His speed was unbelievable, but the world didn't see a real fight. They saw 2 legends in the Roman Colosseum, filmed illegally, documented forever." Number 5, brother's death in Vietnam, 1970. Chuck Norris is refereeing a karate tournament in California. An announcement comes over the loudspeaker. "Chuck Norris, you have an urgent call." He walks to the phone. His mother-in-law is crying on the other end. "Your brother Wyland has been killed in Vietnam." Norris hangs up, staggers back, sits down. He would later say, "If I had been kicked in the stomach by a dozen karate champions at the same time, it could not have impacted me more." Here are the documented facts. Wyland Clyde Norris, Private First Class, Company A, 2nd Battalion, 506th Infantry, 101st Airborne Division, killed June 3, 1970, Thua Thien, Hue Province. Vietnam. He was 26 years old, 1 month before his 28th birthday. But here's the part that haunts Chuck Norris to this day. When Wieland was 12 years old, he told his brother, "I won't live to see 28, a premonition, a feeling, something he just knew." And he was right. Wieland died defending Firebase Ripcord, the longest battle of the Vietnam War, March 12th to July 23rd, 1970. 75 Americans were killed at Ripcord. One of them was Wieland Norris. The battle was so brutal, so costly, that the media imposed a blackout. The American public was tired of Vietnam. Hamburger Hill had happened just a year earlier. The military didn't want another PR disaster, so Ripcord was fought in silence. Only years later did the stories emerge. Bob Kalsu, Rookie of the Year for the Buffalo Bills in 1968, was also killed at Ripcord. Wieland Norris was posthumously awarded the Silver Star for Valor. In 2007, Chuck Norris wrote, "I still miss my brother terribly. I think of Wieland often, and am comforted only by the certainty that one day we will be giving him a great big hug in heaven." Chuck never forgot, and he made sure the world didn't either. Number 6. Dedicated Missing in Action to Wieland 1984. Cannon Films offers Chuck Norris a deal. They want to make a Vietnam POW rescue film. Colonel James Braddock, a soldier who escaped a Vietnamese prison camp and returns years later to rescue the men left behind. Studios don't want to touch it. Vietnam films aren't popular, too controversial, too painful. Norris says yes, because he wants to honor Wieland. Missing in Action is filmed in the Philippines. Norris plays Braddock as a silent, deadly, one-man army. Minimal dialogue, maximum action. The film had a budget problem. It was supposed to be part 1 of 2 films shot back-to-back. But Cannon realized the second film they shot was actually better than the first, so they switched them. The movie that was supposed to be the prequel became Missing in Action. The movie that was supposed to be the original became Missing in Action 2, The Beginning. Missing in Action opened in 1984, made $6 million its first weekend, earned $26 million by 1985, became one of Cannon Films' biggest hits. Critics called it a Rambo ripoff. Audiences didn't care. The scene at the end where Braddock brings rescued POWs to a conference in Saigon, people stood up in theaters and applauded. Norris said, "One of the biggest thrills of my life came when I went to a theater to see Missing in Action, and all the people stood up and applauded at the end." 2 sequels followed. Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, 1985, Braddock. Missing in Action 3, 1988. The entire trilogy made nearly $40 million. And Chuck dedicated all 3 films to Wieland's memory. At the end of each film, the dedication appears to Wieland Norris, who gave his life for his country. In 2012, Norris appeared on War Stories with Oliver North to discuss the siege of Firebase Ripcord. He talked about Wieland, the battle, the sacrifice. He made sure his brother was remembered, and millions of people who watched Missing in Action saw that dedication. Wieland Norris died in 1970, but his name lived on, because Chuck never forgot. Number 7, Walker, Texas Ranger, 9 seasons, 203 episodes, 1993. CBS launches a new show, Walker, Texas Ranger. Chuck Norris plays Cordell Walker, a Texas Ranger who solves crimes with martial arts, old-fashioned values, and a cowboy hat. It sounds ridiculous. It becomes a phenomenon. The show runs for 9 seasons, 203 episodes, April 21st, 1993 to May 19th, 2001. Critics hate it. Entertainment Weekly gives it a C+. They call it cheesy, over the top, absurd. Audiences don't care. Here are the documented ratings. Season 1, 1993, 1994, 11.7 rating, 41 in the country. Season 2, 1994, 1995, 11.2 rating, 41, Season 3, 1995, 1996, 12.3 rating, not for 18, Season 4, 1996, 1997, 11.0 rating, set 24, Season 5, 1997, 1998, 14.4 million viewers, to 21, Season 6, 1998, 1989, 14.4 million viewers, that are 15. At its peak, Walker, Texas Ranger was one of the top 15 shows in America. 14.4 million people tuning in every Saturday night. The show was broadcast in over 100 countries, dubbed into dozens of languages, syndicated on USA Network for years. Chuck Norris sang the theme song, Eyes of a Ranger, won a BMI Music Television Award for it. The show had a formula. Walker kicks bad guys, teaches moral lessons, solves crimes, repeat. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. In 1994, television critic Doug Nye wrote, "Walker, Texas Ranger is the closest thing these days to an old-time Western. Chuck Norris and company have made Saturday nights at 9 on CBS the most entertaining since James Arness and Gunsmoke occupied that time slot more than 20 years ago. The show made Norris one of the most recognizable faces in the world, and it set the stage for something nobody saw coming. A decade later, Walker, Texas Ranger would become a punchline and make Chuck Norris more famous than the show ever did." Number 8. Chuck Norris, Facts Meme Phenomenon, 2004. Late Night with Conan O'Brien. NBC merges with Universal. Suddenly, Conan O'Brien has access to old TV footage without paying licensing fees. He starts a recurring bit called Walker Texas Ranger Lever. The concept is simple. Conan has a lever next to his desk. When he pulls it, a random clip from Walker Texas Ranger plays, usually something absurd. Over-the-top action, cheesy dialogue, martial arts nonsense. The audience laughs. Chuck Norris becomes a punchline, but something else happens. 2005, the Something Awful forums. A thread starts called "Post Your Vin Diesel Facts." Satirical claims about Vin Diesel's toughness. Vin Diesel can divide by 0. Vin Diesel's tears cure cancer. Too bad he has never cried. It goes viral. Then someone suggests, what if we did this with Chuck Norris instead? A college student named Ian Spector creates a website, chucknorrisfacts.com. Every time you refresh the page, a new fact appears. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down. Chuck Norris counted to infinity. Twice. When Chuck Norris does a push-up, he isn't lifting himself up. He's pushing the earth down. The website gets 10 million hits within a month. By 2006, Chuck Norris facts are everywhere. Facebook, MySpace, email forwards, T-shirts, bumper stickers. Politicians start using them. Mike Huckabee runs campaign ads with Chuck Norris facts during his 2008 presidential bid. The phenomenon becomes global, translated into dozens of languages. Chuck Norris facts appear in India about Rajinikanth, in Poland about local celebrities. The format spreads everywhere. And here's the documented part. Chuck Norris didn't get angry, he embraced it. In 2009, he published the official Chuck Norris fact book, made the bestseller list, appeared on talk shows reading his favorite facts, used the meme to promote charities. On his own website, World Net Daily, Norris wrote, "Some are funny, some are pretty far out, and thankfully, most are just promoting harmless fun." He understood something most celebrities don't. The meme made him relevant to a generation that never watched Walker Texas Ranger. Kids born in the 1990s who had no idea who Chuck Norris was suddenly knew everything about him. The meme introduced him to millions of new fans. And when you Google Chuck Norris today, the first thing that comes up isn't his movies or his martial arts championships, it's the memes. A 65-year-old martial artist became a cultural phenomenon because the internet turned him into a joke, and he was smart enough to laugh along. Number 9. Childhood. Poverty and alcoholic father. March 10th, 1940. Ryan, Oklahoma. Carlos Ray Norris is born, named after his father's minister, eldest of 3 boys. His father is Ray Norris, works as a truck driver, mechanic, bus driver, whatever he can find. He's also an alcoholic. Ray Norris goes on drinking binges that last for months, spends his entire paycheck on alcohol, leaves the family with nothing. Chuck's mother, Wilma, raises 3 boys alone. No money, no stability, no support. By the time Chuck turns 15, the family has moved 16 times. Evictions, unpaid rent, running from debt, living in trailers, low-rent housing, Oklahoma, California, Arizona, wherever they could afford. Chuck described himself as shy, non-athletic, and scholastically mediocre. He was embarrassed by his father's behavior, embarrassed by the poverty, embarrassed to speak in front of his class at school. He developed what he called debilitating introversion. When Chuck was 12, the family moved to Torrance, California. His mother hoped for a fresh start. Ray Norris kept drinking. When Chuck turned 16, his parents divorced. His father walked out, left for good. Chuck took over. As the oldest brother, he became the man of the house, helped his mother raise Wyland and Aaron, worked odd jobs, did whatever was necessary. He graduated from North Torrance High School in 1958, barely. Then he joined the United States Air Force. He had no plan, no skills, no confidence, but he had one thing. He refused to quit. In the Air Force, stationed at Osan Air Base in South Korea, Chuck Norris discovered Tang Soo Do, Korean martial arts. For the first time in his life, he found something he was good at. He trained obsessively, earned his black belt, came back to the United States, and continued training at March Air Force Base in California. When he was discharged in 1962, he opened a karate school while applying to be a police officer in Torrance. He taught classes, barely made money, lost his first 10 fights, but he didn't quit. The shy kid with an alcoholic father who moved 16 times became a world champion. And later, when Chuck Norris became famous, his mother was there to see it. Wilma Norris lived to be 102 years old, died in 2024. Chuck credited her for everything. She endured the deaths of her 2 husbands, a stepson, 2 grandchildren, and my younger brother Wieland in the Vietnam War. She always prayed for me. She asked God to save her boy. The boy she prayed for became a legend. Number 10, held world champion. Title for 6 consecutive years, November 24th, 1968. Chuck Norris defeats Louis Delgado, becomes the professional middleweight karate champion, and holds that title for 6 consecutive years. Undefeated, 1968, 1969, 1970, 1971, 1972, 1973. 6 years, no losses. No one could beat him. Here are the documented facts. Chuck Norris won every major karate championship between 1965 and 1974. National Karate Championships, 1966. All-Star Championships, 1966. World Middleweight Karate Championship, 1967. All-American Karate Championship, 1967, 1968. Internationals, 1968. National Tournament of Champions, 1968. American Tang Soo Championship. North American Karate Championship. His fight record: 183 wins, 10 losses, 2 draws. All 10 losses came before 1968. After 1968, undefeated. He defeated every champion of his era: Joe Louis, Skipper Mullins, Arnold Urquidez, Victor Moore, Steve Sanders. Black Belt magazine named him Fighter of the Year in 1969. He became the first person ever voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. Not just once, 3 times. Player of the Year, 1968. Instructor of the Year, 1975. Man of the Year, 1977. In 1974, Chuck Norris retired from competition. Not because he lost, not because he got injured, because there was no one left to fight. At age 34, he walked away as the undefeated world champion. He had trained over 325 students to black belt, opened 32 martial arts schools across America, founded the United Fighting Arts Federation, created his own martial arts style called Chun Kuk Do. But here's what makes this unbelievable. Chuck Norris was not a natural athlete. He was shy, weak, uncoordinated, lost his first 10 fights. He became world champion through sheer determination, training, discipline, refusing to quit. In interviews, Norris always said the same thing: "Whatever luck I had, I made. I was never a natural athlete, but I paid my dues in sweat and concentration and took the time necessary to learn karate and become world champion." From 1968 to 1974, no one could beat Chuck Norris. And when he retired, he did it on his own terms, undefeated, world champion. For 6 consecutive years, lost his first 10 fights, trained with Bruce Lee, taught Steve McQueen, fought illegally in the Roman Colosseum, lost his brother in Vietnam, dedicated a film trilogy to his memory, starred in a TV show watched by 14 million people, became an internet meme that introduced him to a new generation, grew up in poverty with an alcoholic father, held the world champion title for 6 consecutive years without losing once. 10 moments, all documented. Some champions are born with talent, others are born with advantages. Chuck Norris was born with neither, but he had something better. He refused to quit, even when he lost 10 fights in a row, even when everyone said he should. If you made it this far, you're exactly the type of person who appreciates real stories about real people who refused to give up. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week we're covering another legend who proved that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. Let us know in the comments if you want to know unheard stories of a specific classic actor. Till then, take care.